So at this time, I'll look for a motion for the consent agenda for the minutes of February 19th, 2020 executive session minutes, and the January 26th, 2021 minutes are not ready at this point. So it will just be a motion for the February executive session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
Take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
And it's a knife myself. Thank you. We have no abatements, so let's move into old unfinished business. Dan, sewer rates?
Yeah, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. Oops, over. All right. Bear with me. Multiple monitors. Okay. All right, so let me know when you get that.
I have it.
All right, so
I can see it. Yeah.
everything's small, and I'm going to get into the numbers momentarily. But just as an introduction, so this is what I'm considering, a good starting point. And we took a look initially at water flows and Chatham's rates a few meetings ago, but it really dug a lot deeper here. So due to the relationship that East Harwich has with Chatham, using Chatham's sewer rates as a starting point, seemed appropriate. That said, Chatham bills their water and sewer differently than Harwich. So they use different billing units. Instead of billing in gallons like we do, they bill in cubic feet. So the first thing I did was convert the Chatham sewer rates to what would be a Harwich equivalent. So I'm going to just zoom in here so you can see. If this is visible on the screen, please let me know.
Yeah, I can see it.
So Chatham has different rates for their winter and summer. That's true with both their water and sewer billing. They have 4 tiers like we do for water, and for sewer they have 3 tiers, and they give away the first 10 units or first 7,480 gallons free of charge. So I didn't take that liberty to give any water away. So what I did was determine what the gallon equivalent was to their cubic foot measurement, to tier out what the Harwich equivalent of the sewer rates would be. Now, we're sending our effluent to Chatham. We're using the same treatment plant, and likely we'll be using the same contract operation. So, our rates really should be, as far as covering our expenses, relatively similar. So I was consistent with a base rate of $50, which is really a blended average of their winter and summer. And then the tier 1 would be $5.03. Tier 2, $5.43, $5.83, and $6.05. Now, the East Harwich Sewer Service area is intended to be financially self-sufficient, right, once it's complete. So once Phase 2, Phase 3, and the Phase 8 properties in East Harwich are connected, they should be able to sustain the expenses needed to operate the system. So to do what I would consider a fair and equitable, evaluation of rates and how effective they're going to be, I created this first page here, which includes all of the properties in East Harwich that were highlighted as part of the CWMP. So there's a total of 1,196 water accounts that we have for residents in East Harwich. And that is shown on this map right next to the table. So the reason that I broke it up by map, by subwatershed, I actually took this from some of the stuff we put together for the wastewater presentations, but in the back end on all of these tabs that are at the bottom, and this is an abundance of data, and a screen share is not appropriate to go through exactly all these numbers. You'll see there's millions of them, but what these numbers are every property and account for a customer in East Harwich. They are all color coded. You can see we have green and we have yellow, and all those colors correlate back to that GIS map here. So the yellow parcels right here are the ones in Robert Hour's contract, and those are the ones that now reflect on here in yellow. So the reason I did that was because we, for planning purposes, need to understand where the money's coming from and when we're going to get it. So the average water use is significantly different between these areas in East Harwich. We have some average daily use in excess of or as low as rather, 100 and something gallons per day, and as high as 250 gallons per day. So that the water use varies drastically between different areas in East Harwich. So, and again, jumping back to being financially self-sufficient. So what my intent is to build out a full cost of operating the sewer system in East Harwich, and then backing into a sewer rate based on expenses, because we're not expenses plus the board's contribution to retained earnings. And a big thing that this spreadsheet gives us the ability to do, and kind of why I wanted to do a higher kind of or deeper dive into it, is because I've set it up so that when we do finally get all of our information, we still have to work on the contract operations contract, which is going to impact our budget and inform better what we need to collect for revenue. The spreadsheet set up so that, one, we can tell every person in East Harwich who's connecting to the sewer system what their quarterly sewer bill will be based off of the past 8 years of water consumption. So we can give them a quarter by quarter breakdown, parcel by parcel, for anyone concerned about what their water bill might be. To take it another step, what the sheet is set up also so that when we do back in and start to look at rates, so we go back to this rate equivalent or conversion table, if I change the $50 base rate to $65, that's linked in now to all of our cells. So it will populate the table so that moving forward, the hard work is done, if you will. Now it's really just entering in some different rates to see what impact it has on the revenue. So I think this is, again, we're not there yet because we're still waiting on some information, but I think this is, a really good tool that we're going to be able to use to inform the public, what they're going to be paying for sewer, and it's based on real number. It's based on their individual use of water for the last 8 years. Now, the variables there would be irrigation, things of that nature, which we don't have an ability to capture. But I think this is where we're at right now. We do have a meeting with Chatham this Friday to discuss coordination and operations. I'm hoping those discussions will inform Weston and Sampson with what we need to do to put together a operations contract. And then we can really start playing with that calculator and refining and honing in on a rate. So I guess it was a lot of information, and I'll turn it back to the board.
That's great information, Dan. That's really a great spreadsheet, and to be able to change the numbers around to see where we're at. So that's great. Thank you for that. I'm sure it took a lot of time to put that together.
Yeah, and really, I've seen a lot of concern of people, over the past 5 years. Well, what's sewer going to cost? It's expensive. It's the biggest concern people have is how much it's going to hit their pocket. So I'm hoping that having this information available once we do refine rates will at least put people at ease and help with their financial planning.
Dan, can you go back to the other screen to show the rates?
Yeah. Yep.
So what's the pros and cons of having two rates, winter and summer? Why would they do that?
I don't. I
Do they
can
make
speculate.
some?
Yeah, I mean, I can speculate that they are trying to give the year-round residents a break in the winter and pick up, the revenue in the summer. We do use a lot more electricity and things in the summer, water treatment chemicals, but that doesn't really mean you have to do separate rates, because I can reach out and see when that happened and why they made that decision. That would be my guess at this point.
I just find it interesting, but.
I think it would be a nightmare on the billing end.
Can you do that? Could you do that, Dan?
Yeah, of course.
See why that came up. That's a good point, Gary. And, everything goes on regardless.
Right.
Judith, do you have any comments?
No, I'm just, this is awesome. I wish I could do spreadsheets like you do.
A lot of
great.
good.
Dan, do you have anything else you want to add to the sewer rates?
No, on that. No, I think I'm good on that.
All right, let's move on to the GHD.
Yeah, so in the packet, today was a formal contract now being asked for signature. So if you recall, I believe it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, we were seeking consent to use just over 50,000 from the sewer operating budget for fiscal year 21 to supplement a funding source from the general fund, the CWMP, for the purpose of acquiring a sewer CAD model. Now, at the time, the Water Wastewater Commission provided a 3-2 consensus. The Board of Selectmen provided a 4-1 consensus. Hearing the concerns that were expressed, through discussions on both boards, I did go back to the Board of Selectmen at their January 26th meeting to discuss, potential paths moving forward if there was a desire to find an alternative. In that meeting on the 26th, the board did reaffirm that they provided a consensus and that we have our go-ahead. We being myself and Griffin, who brought this to them. So now it's back before the Water Wastewater Commission for formal approval to move forward with the contract. Should the Water Wastewater Commission vote in support, the intent is to have it on the Tuesday meeting for the Board of Selectmen next week, Monday holiday.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agreement for professional services between GHD and Town of Harwich.
Is there a second?
Can I ask a quick question first?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So this is not going to town meeting, right? That's how I had understood it from the Board of Selectmen. So, all right. So yes, I will give a second. Thank you.
So Dan, so this is the original proposal with the original funding source for the project.
Yes. Yeah. The 2 proposed funding sources, and just for those who may be tuning in that don't know what's exactly included in this contract, the contract includes a sewer CAD model for all areas identified in the CWMP, as well as a 20-year phasing plan for the next 20 years on how we begin to construct these sewers.
All right, thank you, Dan. So there's a motion on the table. Judith has a second. I'll take a roll call vote. Alan?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
And it's a nay for myself. So we'll move forward with the contract.
Thank you. All right.
The Pleasant Lake Tank Project, Dan.
Pulling my notes back up. All right. Pleasant Lake Tank Project. Yeah, some exciting stuff here. So the demo for the old inlet pipe is completed. I was on site the other day and they were getting ready to hoist up the new overflow pipe, which goes inside the bowl of the tank. Gary.
Answered. Questions answered. Okay.
So that pipe got hoisted up into the bowl of the tank. They just received another shipment of pipe yesterday, and they're waiting on one more expansion joint fitting, which they're expecting early next week. And that's when they're going to start assembling the riser pipe, which is actually in the the base of the tank. In addition, been working with Steve as part of the sewer project and everything that's been going on. That's prompted the DPW to amend the road maintenance program. So you may all recall, each spring, what the water department does is goes out and focuses on renewing the older water services on the streets that the DPW intends on paving. Sewer has caused them to revisit their street list, and we're at a point now where there isn't as much services for us to do this spring. So Steve and Jay are going out, they went out yesterday, and they're planning for us to actually do the connection from the tank to the water main that goes under Route 6. So if you recall, when we bid the project, we only awarded the base bid, which was the mechanical welding and pipes inside the bowl of the tank, because we didn't have an appropriation to do the exterior work. Things are looking now like our schedule is going to accommodate us to do that work and to do it beginning in the next couple weeks. So we're working on material pricing now, and once we have that all figured out, that we're also going to have to rent a larger machine, just because the pipe's 24-inch. It's bigger than what our machines are capable. But I hate to speculate, but I'd say we're probably going to save $100,000 to $200,000 doing it ourselves.
Wow.
Based on in comparison to the bid. So, and I guess to support that use of funding in that capacity, Sandy had prepared a FY21 fiscal year end estimate. And this was done, initially at the request of the finance director concerned with, how much money we're proposing to spend at town meeting this year. But ultimately what that yielded was an estimate of where we're at in our budget, what we expect to expend between now and the end of the fiscal year, and what we're likely going to turn into retained earnings when they're certified in October. So we still have, after all projected regular expenses, we're showing a surplus of about $243,000 within our operating budget, which can be used to support, the materials and the machine to do that work. And then even if we expend that 200, we're still looking at turning in almost $1 million from, just the volume that we pumped this year, as well as turning back 83,000 in articles to close. So we could be turning back well over $1 million, and likely when the free cash is certified in October, we're going to have a higher balance than going into town meeting. And that would be after we appropriate funding for town meeting. So, and if I can, just right now, our FY20 enterprise fund balance is $1.4 million. We have article requests that total approximately 980,000. So that's going to knock us down to about 454,000 in our retained earnings account. However, when certification takes place in September, October, we're going to be looking now back up at almost 1.5, 1.6 million. So we're expending a lot, but we're also turning a lot back in, and we're only bridging a 4-month gap with a enterprise fund balance of 454,000.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with those numbers, Dan. That's reassuring, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, and it was a good exercise, and we provided this information to Carol as well. And these are all good. It's good that everyone's checking and double checking. So
Just one question, Dan. What kind of machine are we going to have to rent for that Pleasant Lake tank?
Yeah, probably. I'm going to get the official one that they're looking for from Jay and Steve, but similar to the one that we rented likely on Lothrop Ave when we did the directional drilling project, like a 305 or a 315. So the machine that we have...
Is that a Caterpillar or something? Is that what this is?
Yeah, a larger excavator.
Excavator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the biggest one that we have, the 75, isn't equipped to handle 24-inch pipe and valves. The capacity, the lift capacity as we drop the pipe down into the trench. Our machine, being a zero turn, doesn't have the weight cantilevered off the back. So, we're limited when you get the pipe of that size as to what machine. You just need a bigger machine.
We don't have a lot of 24-inch pipes in the town besides that one, right?
No, we don't. No, and the biggest pipes we have are at the tank sites, right? And they're like 20-inch going into the tank. This one will be 24, but once they hit the street, they're 16. So we're equipped to handle really, anything we're going to experience. With small exceptions, like when we had to have the directional drill, we had to rent the machine to dig that pit, and that was really to stay ahead of the groundwater. Yeah.
Alan or Judith, any comments or questions? Alan?
No, I'm all for it.
Judith?
No, it's good.
Thanks. Okay, Dan.
And if anyone wants to stop by the tank too, during construction, feel free to reach out and I can help coordinate with the contractor, a time that they'll be doing something exciting to see. So feel free to.
Thank you.
All right, Dan, let's go on to the DWSP grant Chatham Road land acquisition.
Yeah, so the DWSP grant still has yet to be advertised. Which is the bad news. More bad news is I emailed the grant administrator and haven't heard anything back. Did we lose Gary?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, the good news is, in a meeting with Joe a week or two ago, the town was informed that there are DRI funds available. So while the grant funding is yet to be advertised and there's still a lot of unknowns, the town has access to DRI grant funds. So those grant funds, and let's back to the good news, right? So the grant funds, unlike the DWSP grant, or the DRI, sorry, are 100% reimbursable. The grant that we were seeking was only 50% reimbursable. The DRI funds are in the amount of about $173,000, I believe. We received the draft appraisal from the appraiser on the 5 parcels next to Chatham Road. The total value of all 5 parcels together ranges between $140,000 and $148,000, and that's for all 5, not a piece. Yeah, and that's because they're landlocked, no access, and even if you wanted access to try to get it, you'd need to purchase a house and take it down to go through to the back of the parcel. So it limits the valuation. There's 2 methodologies in the appraisal report. There's a market regression and a linear regression, which is why I provided 2 figures. One of them is 140, one of us was 148. So what I would be looking for from the board today, if in favor, really would be a vote to kind of switch gears and focus our pursuit instead of on the DWSP grant, but on use of the DRI funds, because those are available and we can start doing the work now and they're 100% reimbursable. As long as you don't hold it against me on my evaluation, because I did have DWSP grant specifically written.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Dan, what parcels are these exactly?
Yeah, let me, hold on, I have the draft report. I just want to try to find a map in there before I share my screen.
And they have easements, I assume, correct?
No, they
we need-
abut our property on one side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they abut
Gotcha.
our property on one side. Okay, let me.
That's coming in from the 39 side, right?
It's actually it's
Toward the middle?
39 and to the, if you were staring at our office,
Yeah.
they're kind of in the back right of the
Yeah.
well field.
Yeah.
Bear with me, I got a map, I'm gonna share it in just a second.
Shame on us, we should have owned them a long time ago.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that's important too is that a lot of these are owners unknown parcels, and that we can use this funding for some of that research, you know. And
Yep.
when the funding notice came in from DRI, Joe
Yep.
actually reached out to the administrator for that funding source and explained to them what our intent was, and what they said was that's an excellent use for these funds.
Yeah.
So that's, I think important for us
Great.
to, they like this too. So these are 4 of the parcels.
Yeah.
Echo Woods Road. So they're kind of behind and abutting Echo Woods Road.
Okay, yep, I know what that is, yep.
And this, if you can see the map right here at the top of this image, is the bike trail.
Yep.
So who owns that E11255?
The top.
I'll have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that, good news. And I'm glad that we got that notice, because not having, formal recognition that the DWSP grant's been advertised and that the funding's going to be available as we get to town meeting is going to put more tension on the project. So this is a welcome change.
So what you need now is an approval on the taking the DRI funds?
Yeah, yep. So I was in speaking with Joe, that was kind of what he and I thought would be the best step is, for the Wastewater Commission to, express interest in using these funds, and then we can follow up with the appropriate parties after.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the superintendent to seek the DRI funds for 5 parcels that are available in the watershed area. Watershed area off of Chatham Road.
Is there a second? Couldn't hear you, Judith.
Is the second?
All right, we'll take a motion. Alan?
Aye.
Yes, I second that.
Thank you, Judith. And we're taking a vote. So Alan voted yes. Judith? I couldn't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. And a yes myself. There you go, Dan.
Excellent.
I
Thank you.
voted yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Got it. Thank you, Judith. All right, let's move on to new business, the well M3 repair.
So if you,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before you move on, we do have the minutes for January 26th.
Gary, they might have been in an email packet.
All right, I don't have the minutes. I will go back to that.
All right. No, that's all right. They'll keep.
You know what? I don't have them right now, so let's just hold on to it and we'll add it to the next meeting so I can read them.
Okay, it's all right. All right, we'll come back.
All right, let's move on to our well M3 repair. Dan?
Yeah, so we had an issue out at M3. That's one of the submersible pitless adapter wells at our main facility. Scotty and I went out and we megged the motor. What that is essentially is we provide a voltage and it measures the health of the motor. So after going through that exercise, in communication with the well driller, we were able to determine that the motor needs to be replaced. So right now they are tentatively scheduled, weather pending, to be out here Wednesday of next week to make that repair. And just for the board's knowledge, the repair, if I'm not mistaken, was just over $6,000 after it's done.
All right, thank you, Dan. Let's move on to the Lothrop Ave pump control.
So this is another, I guess, increase in functionality upgrade. We're in the process of making, when the guys did their hydrant flushing this fall, one of the issues that we were up against is without running the tank in summer mode, it only cycles on in the morning and pumps out, right? So they were experiencing some low flow and low pressure areas when they were trying to achieve the scouring velocity during flushing. So for that purpose, as well as to supplement any future firefighting needs, you know, in the event that there's a fire and we got to get water out, right, in the winter, when we're running the tank in winter mode, we would need to either drive out, put the pump station in summer mode so that it would react to the pressures, or manually go to the drives for the motors and key them in. So what we're creating here is kind of a one-touch button that the operator can push. They can enter a flow rate and they can hit start. You know, these systems generally run in automated, right? So they're being informed by what's happening in the system or programming that we tell it to do. So this is going to give us an opportunity, you know, if the guys are out flushing in that area, they can walk in the pump station, you know, in the stroke of a couple buttons. That will be in to provide supplemental flow and pressure they need. Same is true if we get a call from the PD or fire department, rather, that they need additional support, that we can walk in, you know, in a couple of keystrokes, get them additional pressure. So I just wanted to let the board know that we were in process of doing that.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I was curious as if this could be controlled from Chatham Road, too.
Yes, that is also going to be added into this functionality. So because the tank itself is relatively complex as far as programming and operation,
Yeah.
EFI, the manufacturer, is going to be doing the local upgrade, and then we're going to bring our SCADA vendor in to make that remote access capable
Okay.
from Chatham Road.
Sounds good, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Secondary distribution operator, D2 position.
So I just wanted to advise the board that we have offered and he has accepted the position. John Lang is the newest hire for the department. He's slated to start on February 23rd. Just as some of his background, he spent several years in the Yarmouth Water Department. I believe he was a foreman over there, and he's currently working in Bourne. So just that this was an incredibly long process, and not due to you know, anyone's fault, but we advertised this on the street for 2 months and got 2 applicants with water experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we talk about, you know, licensing and staffing and keeping, you know, it's in you know, Harwich as a water system, you know, water department. I mean, personally, I enjoy working here. The town offers good benefits. You know, I wasn't expecting it to take well over 60 days to get more than, you know, 2 applicants.
Yeah, that's saying
Both of
something.
them were qualified, you know, and both of them interviewed well too.
Is this fellow an older person or a younger man?
I think if I understand your question, probably
No,
older.
I want to know before they retire.
No, it's so the secondary distribution operator position. It's not. I wouldn't say it's equivalent to like a laborer or you know, someone who's working in the trench. Though they could be pulled into the trench as needed. You know, they're primarily, you know, working in the distribution system, working with customers, gate valve exercising, leak detection, things of that nature. But I think we don't ask age because I don't think we can.
No,
But if I had to speculate, he's between me and Gary.
Yeah.
Young. He's young.
Young.
He's young.
You never know, Alan, because you look like you're 55, so
Oh, thank you.
you keep
You
saying
sweetheart.
you're not. So there you
Alan's
go.
younger than me, for God's sakes.
Well, it sounds good. He's taken the place of who?
So Neil when Neil retired, Dave had been training, he got all of his license over the past several years. And when Neil left, Dave transferred over to treatment. So this is Dave's position.
Yeah. Okay. So this is taking Dave's place.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
All right. Let's go on to Superintendent's Report.
I think I've taken up enough of your ear time. I don't have much to add above that. Oh, actually, you know what? I take that back. I do. So today I had a meeting with GZA. They're an engineering firm with respect to the well exploration up in near well 10. So we talked for about half hour, about procedure. They're going to be putting together kind of a timeline, cost estimates for different parts of, this process. We're likely going to be into the well exploration, drilling, permitting, construction process is likely going to take, 3 to 5 years from once the funding is approved. So I'm trying to start to solicit, from people in this sector, specifically for development of groundwater wells, groundwater exploration, things of that, to bring them in and see what kind of people's process is, because ultimately myself and the 3 commissioners and are going to be in a relationship throughout this process for several years, and to make sure that, we're approaching it in the process we want, in a process that works for both the engineering firms and the department. So over the next couple months, I plan on, having more of these conversations to see kind of what is the best option for the town. Another component, I'm sure all of you heard the cybersecurity breach that happened in Florida. If you didn't, so a water system down in Florida was hacked, legit hacked. So what happened was a bad actor was able to access their SCADA computer and was attempting to overfeed the chemical feed pumps. There was never any danger to the public, and that's because the operator was, physically on site and witnessed the mouse moving on the screen and was able to put a stop to it. It's also important to understand the IT environment that system was operating in. There's a number of best practices that, after reading through the debrief, if you will, that kind of point to how it happened. So let me just pull it up here. All right. So ultimately, the water system had their SCADA computer connected directly to the internet. I don't want to go into too much detail about the structure of our IT environment and how we are set up, because hackers are out there. But what I can say is that our cybersecurity and our IT environment is set up considerably different than the system in Florida. For example, they had one password for all of their machines. They had no security or antivirus stuff before their IT infrastructure talked to the rest of the world. So there was a number of things that allowed this to happen. And I can talk in more detail with any one of you offline, I don't want to express our IT infrastructure, but just to also make you 3 aware that, we are aware of what happened. We've done our system checks, and, we aren't at this point in an environment that would be susceptible like they were. And now I'll stop.
That's it's scary, and it's just I don't understand people. I really don't. But Yeah, I mean, we just have to have all our bases covered, but it's really just disturbing that people have that kind of time on their hands to do these things. I don't understand I don't understand it, so.
I don't.
Do we have anything for the commissioner's report? Alan?
No, I'm all set, I think. I can't think of anything. No.
All right, Judith?
No, good.
Dan, what's the latest on the large periwinkle break?
The large periwinkle break. All right, let me see. So the last communication I had with him was after our last meeting when we had discussed again the second break there. I haven't been back or heard from them at this point yet. I did discuss with Steve, kind of a strategy that we got to investigate that neighborhood. After discussing the breakthrough with them, the condition of the pipe was considerably different at the second break than it was at the top of the hill where the first one was. Which can happen depending on the soils, how wet and dry the pipe gets, things like that. So, we really need to ultimately go out and do a bunch of test pits to clear that out. We did go out, though, I forgot to just mention, we did go out, I believe it was a week or two ago, one of the warmer days that we've had in the last couple of weeks, and did go out and do some supplemental flushing in that neighborhood because there were people still experiencing some air in the line. So we did go out and reflush the neighborhood as well.
I was just wondering how the homeowners were making out with the getting the house back in order.
They didn't fill me in. He didn't mention that in any of his correspondence.
All right. So I guess next thing to do is our next meeting.
25th,
Yep, that's fine.
1 o'clock.
Oh, I have something that day. Hold on.
All
I'm
right.
sick in the calendar, and I must have a doctor's appointment.
That's important.
Yeah. I have it scheduled off. I don't have it in my calendar.
Okay. Want to do the 24th or the 26th?
26 would be great.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alan?
Yeah, I'm good. 26.
What time?
Would you say 1?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Gary, that works for your work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. 1 p.m. on Friday the 26th.
All right.
You
And,
got
a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
And is there a second?
Second thought?
I'll take a roll call vote. Alan?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
And it's an aye for myself. Thank you all very much. Have a
Thank you.
good couple of weeks, and we'll see you soon.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Talk
Have a good one.
soon. Bye.